Good evening, everyone. I'm Anya, and it is a real honour and a privilege to stand before you today. If my 14-year-old self could see me now, she would be in complete disbelief. I became a mother at the age of 15 years old. One of the greatest blessings of my life. My daughter is now 23, and I am so proud of the woman that she's become, and I'm sure she's equally as proud of me as I am in her. When I think back to 15-year-old Anya, walking through the corridors at school with her pregnant belly and everybody staring, making jokes, laughing, parents not wanting their child to be my friend, I'm saddened. I remember how worthless I felt. I felt lonely, I felt isolated, and nobody really knew the truth as to why I was in the situation that I was in. I had experienced grooming, domestic abuse, and violence, which went unnoticed by the systems that were actually meant to support me, whether that be teachers, whether that be the police, or whether that be members of the community. My teachers would see my boyfriend arrive at the school gates in his car when I was 14 years old and said nothing. However, when I was in class and I was disruptive or my behaviour wasn't the way it needed to be, I was hit with punitive and harsh punishments. My behaviour was merely an expression of what I was going through, but nobody took the time to actually question or ask me what was wrong. When it comes down to the police, on several occasions I reported incidents and they were dismissed. On the one time where I was actually believed and he was arrested, the day he was released, his one phone call, he used to phone me to come and collect him from the police station. I thought, how could the police allow that to happen? I felt even more unprotected. I got into that cab, I drove to the police station, picked him up and was assaulted in the car. The cab driver continued to drive. And then the community, I remember being 16 or 17 years old, after suffering a violent attack, laying on the floor and passers-by just walking past me and saying nothing. I no longer blame him for the actions, I no longer blame myself. When I think of the situation that we were in, we were both young people, me a child, him slightly older. Our parents, our mothers were single mothers who were working many jobs. The system, so school, our educators should have recognized what was happening, but instead they left us as children to be adults, and that can only lead to dire consequences. I stand here before you not carrying any shame. I stand here before you as a former teacher, a former head of department, former assistant head, and now a woman who sets policy and strategy for local government. I take it as my duty to serve and protect young girls and women so that my story, which unfortunately is not just my story, there are countless women and girls who have been through similar situations before me and even after me. But I stand here as somebody who wants to serve. When I think over what actually caused this, there's a term that I've come across called adultification. And adultification of girls is a form of bias in which it normally affects or has severe effects on young black girls, where they're viewed as less needing of protection, more mature and less innocent in comparison to their counterparts. It's rooted in gender and racial stereotypes like the angry black woman or the strong black woman that can carry the world on her shoulders and needs no support, or the hypersexualized troops. Adults and those in authority, they hold these views and these biases, the police, educators, and as a result, they do not protect young black girls, robbing them intellectually and emotionally of their childhood. The impacts of adultification can seriously and negatively affect a young girl's life and her chances. When we think about the education system, with the harsh punitive behaviour policies that are enforced on black girls in comparison to their counterparts, we can see why young black girls will be more likely to disengage from education. Or when we look at the mental health outcomes of young black girls, they're faced with stress, anxiety and deregulation because they have a sense that they are more resilient and stronger and can deal with adult issues and adult content on their own, and they are less safeguarded. As I mentioned earlier, the community is integral, but every single aspect of society needs to work together to prevent systems that fail and to create systems that believe. I've got 3 different mechanisms for systems to build belief that I want everybody here to look at and to understand, whether you are an educator, whether you are a policy maker, or whether you are just a member of the community. So the first one is about trauma-informed practice. So if you are working with children, ensuring regular training, not training once a year or once every 4 years, regular training on how to challenge your biases. We all hold these biases, whether we are black, white or other. Having regular check-in points with the children that you're working with so that they have a safe space where they do not feel judged and they feel believed. Number 2, mentorship and representation. I'm fortunate enough to be a founder of an amazing network alongside 3 other women called the Brown Skin Girls Network, in which our main aim is to support black women and girls professionally and personally, elevating their lives. And we do this through representation, showing them that it is possible, providing the blueprints for their success, and mentorship as well. So I urge anyone here who is able to offer mentorship or work experience to do so. And the final one is evidence. So when you've put in that training, you've put in that mentorship, your teams are diverse and representative, looking at the impacts of this and documenting it. Because without evidence, there's no funding. So therefore we can go and fund more initiatives and projects that aim to support young black girls. So today I want to leave everybody with a pledge. Like I said, if you are an educator, if you are a policy maker, if you are a business owner, and for all of us as members of the community. So the first pledge, if you are an educator, to introduce these wellbeing check-ins and to make sure that there is trauma-informed training within your settings. The second pledge, if you are a policy maker, to fund these mentoring programs, to have representative workforces, to encourage work experience, and similar for employers to offer placements and amplify diverse stories so that women and young girls can actually see women that look like them and realize it is possible. For me, I had a very low sense of self-worth because I couldn't see where I was going, or I didn't know who I could be. If I had had a woman like myself and many of you in the room to be able to look up to, the skies would have been the limit. And the final one, which is a community pledge, which is to listen without judgment, which is to believe, to amplify, and to also see children for children. Rather than acknowledging or homing in on your biases, when you see a child, protect them, treat them like a child. Thank you very much.